Zambia's Luangwa River, hippos rule the waterways. One colossal bull, known as the River Master, battles relentless challengers to defend his throne. While a vigilant mother risks everything to protect her newborn calf. Their very survival teeters on the brink as a scorching drought drains the river's lifeblood. In these treacherous waters, family bonds are tested. Ancient feuds ignite, and rivals clash for supremacy. Zambia is home to one of the 7 natural wonders of the world, Victoria Falls. Locally known as the Smoke That Thunders. But 800 kilometers upstream lies another jewel, South Luangwa National Park. Spanning over 9,000 square kilometers, it's a sanctuary for vast herds of giraffes, buffalo, and elephants. The Luangwa River is the lifeblood of this thriving ecosystem and host to the highest concentration of hippos on Earth. Amid this prized stretch of river patrols a colossal bull. 3.5 tons of raw power. They call him the River Master. He's ruled here for nearly 20 years, facing down rivals in fierce territorial battles. His sole purpose is to maintain his stronghold over the river, and with it, the exclusive breeding rights to all the females in his pod. For now, he tolerates the younger calves and subordinate males who linger at the edges of his realm. But that tolerance has its limits. In the wet season, the Luangwa River overflows with food and water. In a peaceful bend of the river, a mother hippo grazes on water cabbage with a small group of females and her newborn calf. They've separated from the main pod, allowing the calf to nurse and play safely away from the boisterous adults. For 2 weeks, mother and calf remain isolated, forging a strong bond as the youngster builds the strength and confidence to join the larger group. Back in the pod, another female is coming into season, drawing the attention of a hopeful suitor. A curious young hippo jockeys for a front row seat to their flirtatious dance. But its prime vantage point is short-lived. As the prenuptial pair venture into deeper water and deeper trouble. The flirting couple stray into the river master's territory, an offense he's not about to overlook. Ritualized dung showering proclaims territorial rights and possession. Sensing the imminent danger, the female retreats. Spreading a strong scent is a serious challenge that cannot be ignored. Larger and more powerful, the river master reasserts his dominance and his mating rights. Back in the safety of the pod, the female continues her flirtations. One anxious bachelor refuses to indulge her, knowing that challenging the dominant bull could prove fatal. Undeterred, she boldly interrupts the river master, risking his wrath in her bid for attention. But he's not interested. For now. Another new mother senses the rising tension. Fighting adults can easily crush and drown a small calf. But fleeing to land isn't much safer. Lions and hyenas roam the floodplains, constantly searching for an easy meal. And a baby hippo is a prime target. The little one clings to her mother's side for reassurance. They find refuge in a secluded section of the river, away from the noisy pod and any predators. For the moment, peace settles over the river. Nearby, yellow-billed storks and gray herons fish the shallows. Hippo dung acts as a natural fertilizer, boosting the aquatic plant growth that sustains fish, which in turn provides food for a wide variety of bird life. It also supports another of Africa's most formidable reptiles. Nile crocodiles have a fearsome reputation for taking down large prey like wildebeest and zebra. Yet fish actually form the bulk of their diet. While hippos leave the water to feed at night, crocs emerge by day to bask in the sun. Both need the river to survive, so neither will relinquish territory easily. It's thought that hippos evolved to live in close pods, primarily to protect their young from these ancient reptiles. But over the millennia, they've managed an uneasy truce, as long as they stay out of each other's way. However, this naive adolescent may just reignite an eternal feud. Despite the croc's immense size and powerful jaws, it does not attack. Adult hippos have been known to bite large crocodiles in half. And even this youngster commands a certain respect. For now, these two titans of Africa's waterways maintain a fragile harmony, as long as the river runs high. It's time for the mother hippo and her calf to return to the river. Among Africa's wildlife, few are as aggressive and dangerous as hippos, especially mothers defending their young. Despite the lurking reptiles, she knows the safest place for her baby is in the water. Crocodiles can kill baby hippos, but tend to keep their distance when faced with a vigilant and fiercely protective mother. For the river master, securing territory and access to females is paramount. Bearing the battle scars of a feisty courtship or a recent challenge from a rival male, he has earned this opportunity. Mating occurs in water, with the female partially submerged and only surfacing to breathe. After an 8.5-month pregnancy, newborns can nurse for up to 2 years, highlighting the bull's need for exclusive breeding rights. Hippos aren't the only animals competing for territory along the river. Egyptian geese fight fiercely over boundary disputes, with both sexes getting involved. Upstream, a new challenger calls out the river master. Sharp tusks and elongated incisors are used to gore their rivals. Only one can hold this coveted stretch of river and breeding rights with all the females. The stakes are so high that bouts can end in death. The river master manages to overcome the challenger, but sooner or later, age or injury will weaken him. allowing another in his prime to seize control. While hippos can live up to 50 years in the wild, the solitary life of a bull, marked by relentless violent clashes, often shortens that span. When a bull does eventually fall, his lonely carcass provides a feast that can last for days. And it's not long before the first scavengers arrive. Zambia's South Luangwa National Park hosts an astonishing variety of birdlife. Stands of tall trees near the river serve as a favorite nesting site for many visiting migrants. Their accumulated guano leaves the trunks and branches bleached a ghostly white. The most prominent species here is the yellow-billed stork, migrating from northeast Africa to breed. In these high perches, juvenile storks strengthen their wings, preparing for their first flights. Below this frosted canopy, a herd of Cape buffalo wanders to the river for a much-needed drink. As the dry season approaches, this river will be vital to their survival. Buffalo are reputedly one of the most dangerous animals in Africa, but some of the resident birds are undeterred. Hippos also suffer constant attention from oxpeckers. Once thought to have a mutually beneficial bond with their hosts, they're now regarded as opportunists. While oxpeckers do remove ticks, they also peck at fresh wounds for blood and tissue, like parasites. They may help keep wounds clean and reduce infection, but a plague of this many birds can become a nuisance. Fortunately, oxpeckers can't swim, so the hippo has a way of discouraging unwanted passengers. But he doesn't seem unduly bothered. Further down the river, another hippo carcass presents a veritable feast for a pride of lions. Although most lions avoid swimming, a bold young cub is willing to get his paws wet for such a large meal. Nearby, the resident hippos remain largely unfazed, while the cub grows uneasy in their midst. The arrival of a lioness heightens the tension, and the cub grows even more skittish. The one lion might be tolerated, but as additional pride members gather, the hippos begin to show signs of irritation. Lions can kill baby hippos, but healthy adults and even juveniles are too bulky for them to tackle, especially when in water. One hippo seems intrigued by the dead of its own. It's believed that, like elephants, hippos mourn their family losses. By the time the male lion finishes feeding, the carcass is open enough for a scavenging marabou stalk to grab a share. One male has finally had enough of the lion's encroachment. Threat yawns are designed to scare them. But there's only so far a hippo will go. There's so much hostility around the carcass that the vultures remain cautious, especially as one of their own has paid the ultimate price for venturing too close. An inquisitive cub can't resist investigating this unusual situation. This is probably the first time it's encountered a vulture in its death throes. The cub isn't hungry, and once the vulture is dead, he loses interest in the bird. Meanwhile, the stench of rotting flesh draws an all too familiar foe. Though lions dominate on land, they steer clear of crocs in the water. With little left of the carcass, the reptiles quarrel among themselves over the last scraps of skin and bone. As the dry season looms, temperatures in the Luangwa Valley soar beyond 40 degrees Celsius. Once lush, the river shrinks to a narrow ribbon, and cracked earth marks the struggle for survival. Resident buffalo cling to the last pockets of water. While crowned cranes and impalas edge closer to the dwindling river, drawn by the moisture that still manages to sustain some plant life. Like hippos, baboons live in volatile social groups, with mothers keeping their tiny infants close. Fallen sausage tree flowers provide a welcome snack, while the baboons use their dexterous fingers to forage for seeds and insects in the parched landscape. Meanwhile, the hippopod abandons its dwindling part of the river in search of deeper water. The river master's territory is shrinking, and as resources diminish, so does his tolerance. In the dry season, hippos can become aggressive very quickly. Males fiercely defend their territories, while females protect their young against any perceived threats. Challenging bull's trespass into the river master's territory is seen as a serious violation. Everyone needs to steer clear of any male on the charge. But living in such close proximity creates tension and hostility within the pod. Playful babies stay near the periphery, surrounded by protective female relatives. When confronted by a dominant bull, mothers with calves often tail flap and defecate in a sign of submission. In response, the river master asserts his authority through posturing, scent marking, and displaying his formidable tusks. Despite their mother's best efforts, babies all too frequently get caught up in the crossfire. As the water levels retreat, tensions flare and disputes escalate unexpectedly. The river master sprays dung and urine, reminding potential challengers who owns this stretch of river. Bachelors in the pod are tolerated as long as they don't challenge the river master's supremacy. This one suffered the consequences of trying to win access to females. Peace returns to the pod, but the high drama comes at a cost. One baby is badly wounded. The mother desperately tries to coax her calf back into the water, far enough from prowling predators, yet not too close to the main pod. Even in the shallows, danger looms. If the little one can't stand, it can't breathe. Tempers continue to flare among the hippos. The mother tries to shield her struggling baby from the unpredictable threat of angry adults. She fends off any who venture too close, driven by the instinct to protect her young. The crocodiles edge closer, hungry for an opportunity. The baby has lost its fight. The female continues to stand guard as the crocs close in. Eventually, the mother retreats, leaving a painful reminder that in this harsh environment, one family's loss can become another's gain. As they get older, baby hippos learn to keep out of the way of disputes and stay close to their mothers. Females with young calves rarely wander far from the safety of the river. But the rest of the group sets out under the cover of darkness to graze on fresh grasses. By early morning, the last of the adults make their way back to the water, often having consumed nearly 50 kilograms of grass in a single night. But in the dry season, finding enough to eat is a constant challenge. One hippo seizes a few final mouthfuls before retreating to the cool of the river, ready to pass the heat of the day. The Luangwa River never completely dries up during the hot, arid months, but water levels can get extremely low. And soon the isolated pools and lagoons turn into sticky mud traps. While a youngster enjoys the novelty of stretching his legs on land, hippos can't survive long out of water by day. Our hippo pod finds refuge in one of the last remaining pools. It's well known that hippos wallow in mud, but it's out of necessity rather than choice. They need to keep cool in these harsh conditions. Despite having 5-centimeter thick skin and secreting a natural antiseptic sunscreen, hippos remain surprisingly prone to sunburn. So a mud pack liberally applied provides the best protection. Unfortunately, this quagmire can be far more treacherous than water. Its heavy, clinging mass can trap even these powerful creatures. But in the searing heat, there's no other option. Now crammed into a dwindling pool, the hippos must stay calm. Exhausted by a lack of food and oppressive heat, they need to conserve every last ounce of energy if they are to survive until the first rains. Nearby, a herd of buffalo arrives in search of any water they can find. They won't risk venturing too deep, but even a thin coating of sludge helps ward off biting flies and provides momentary relief. Until dark clouds finally bring rain. The wet season begins in December, arriving just in time for the valley's weary inhabitants. No predator dares to hunt in this heavy downpour. So the hippos are free to leave their muddy refuge for a much-needed drenching. Cooled and invigorated, the landscape bursts back to life. The river master reasserts his dominance, reclaiming his territory and restoring hierarchy within the pod. But he must be ever vigilant, especially when confronted by a massive bachelor from a neighboring pod. This This newcomer is huge, poised for a showdown. Refusing to relinquish his stronghold over the river master accepts the challenge. The fight is brief but decisive. The River Master continues to reign supreme. In Africa, spilled blood doesn't go unnoticed for long. Crocodiles have an acute sense of smell and can locate food hundreds of meters away by scent alone. These hippos are unusually cautious. Something is amiss. The challenging bachelor has lost more than his fight for access to females. In the aftermath, a rarely witnessed spectacle unfolds. Why hippos, like elephants, respond to the death of their own is not known. Individuals from the bachelor's neighboring pod, likely relatives, approach to examine and lick the body. Intruders who attempt to investigate are chased away, suggesting some kind of family-only ritual. Such behavior underscores how little we truly know about the social lives of hippos. Mothers form close bonds with their offspring, and family groups of grandmothers, daughters, and other close relatives may remain together for years. Yet their reaction to the death of one of their own remains a profound mystery, offering only a glimpse into a hidden emotional realm that we are only beginning to understand. Calm settles over the hippo pod once more. The young calves are growing quickly and already learning to spar with each other. Through play fighting, they discover how they rank and compare with others in their pod. In this way, they avoid serious fights until they mature. For these young males, a time will come when they reach their prime and must eventually fight for a pod of their own. It will probably be a violent and ongoing struggle, but those that succeed will fulfill their potential and take their place in the hippo supremacy.